Hello, friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. All right, we've been waiting for this for months and months and months. If you've been paying attention to the live streams or even some of my videos, I've been mentioning that I have a big promotion coming. Well, that promotion happened today. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it and a little bit kind of about the history of it. As you know, I've been at the company I'm at now for about a little bit more than 3.5 years. And I've had a really good history at the company. I've made some good moves. They've taught me a lot of good things. About 1.5 years into getting into the company, I got my first promotion where I went from an operator to basically what's considered a Tech 1. Tech 1 is basically, it's somebody that's kind of mastered the operation of the lines and then taken interest in learning other things too. And I was one of the first people to become a Tech 1, and then shortly after, 3 or 4 other people who also had kind of mastered the operator phase of the system had also followed me into the Tech 1 thing, and there's probably about half a dozen Tech 1s now in the company. Well, there's a rule in the company that says that once you get a promotion or move to a department or something like that, you have to stay with the department for a year at least before you're eligible for another promotion or transfer or anything like that. And the truth is, it's been about 2 years now since I got my last promotion. So I've been kind of looking at what comes next and been talking to my boss about it quite a bit. And he's agreed that I'm ready to go to something else. He was even talking at one point about going to Tech 2, which would be a bump in salary. Couldn't really define exactly what the difference between a Tech 2 or a Tech 1 is, except for the fact that unlike just about anybody else in the department, I'm to the point where I can do like everything in the department. About a year after I started the company, there have always been 2 leads in the department. The basic organization is there's a manager and then 2 leads who run the department, basically. And about a year after I started, one of the leads left the company, and I started thinking, well, I mean, I should try for the lead. I've already, kind of made a bit of a name for myself. And I applied for it, and I didn't get it. Turns out they promoted somebody from another shift, and that person became the lead. But almost immediately afterwards, they started training me as a backup lead. And basically, I was somebody, since I could do just about everything anyway, they wanted me to learn how to do this also. So if one of the leads was absent, I could kind of fill in and help at least on some level. You see, there's so much going on in the department that requires, a lot of kind of hand-holding. We're running our product, and when one order is done, we have to stop the machine, get the machine reconfigured for the next product, and that's a lot of paperwork, a lot of technical stuff that needs to be done, and it's not generally something you leave to the operators. And so since each of the machines, there's 8 machines in our department, each of them kind of starts and stops on their own schedule, and if you have 2 machines that go down at one time and are in what we call turn, then it's really important that you have 2 people there, 1 person to handle each line. And sometimes it gets even more complicated. Sometimes 3 or 4 machines go down at once. And so if you can get backup leads who are kind of trained to do some of this stuff, they can kind of fill in when needed. And so for the last 1.5 years or so, I've been training as a backup lead, kind of the primary backup lead, to the point where about a year ago, I almost stopped being a line operator altogether, and they started training me as this backup lead almost on a daily basis. And I got to the point where, I knew how to do most of the stuff. And at that point, they started talking about, what was next for me. And they started talking about this Tech 2 thing at the start of the year. And we talked about it again at annual review time, which was in March. And, that just seemed to be the way things were going to go. and there was delays here, delays there. I guess there's certain seasons where they can do promotions like that, and it didn't seem at the time that the backup lead was going to turn into a full-time lead thing, because they had 2 leads and you only need 2. So we've been talking about the Tech 2 thing for some time, and then all of a sudden the material handler in the department left the company, or left the department, went somewhere else. See, my shift works 3 or 4 days a week for 12-hour days. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and sometimes we don't work on Wednesday. So it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday every week, and every other Wednesday for 12 hours a day. Well, he had a family, he had kids, and he ended up missing too many events, and he decided he wanted to go into more of an 8 to 5 Monday through Friday thing. So he transferred into another department, and he was the material handler, and there was only one, and they'd been talking about training me as a backup material handler, but they never really got the time to do it. So all of a sudden this happened, and within 2 weeks I had to learn the basics of being a material handler and just basically hit the ground running. And it took a little while for me to kind of pick things up, but within 3 or 4 months of me taking the position, I got to the point where I didn't have to bug this guy a whole bunch, and was able to handle most of what the job was. In fact, when my annual review came around in March, I was told I was doing really well, and I got a little bit more feedback from the boss about 2 months ago, when he told me that he was really happy with how well I'd picked things up. He said I had about 90% of the job, 95% of the job mastered, and he liked the fact that I was somebody who he described as set it and forget it, which means that he could just tell me what the duties were and let me go, and I would take care of it, and there wouldn't be any problems. He wouldn't have to follow up with me or any of that stuff, and he knew that if I had an issue, I would come and talk to him. Well, about a month and a half ago, one of the leads decided that she was going to leave the department and go to another department, something that was a little bit more stress-free. This job can really kind of chew you up sometimes if you let it, and she was she is kind of a high-tension kind of person, and she kind of tends to let things get overboard a little bit and get a little too excited about it, and I don't think it was good for her health. And she I think at one point decided, I need to calm down a little bit. I'm not a child anymore, and I got to get to the point where I can do something that's a little bit more stress-free. And so she transferred into another department. She's going to QA. I think she'll be great in that, because she's a master in our process. And so she'll be very, very capable of hitting the ground running, because she'll be looking at our stuff from a quality standpoint, making sure that our paperwork is filled out properly, making sure we're doing everything correctly. I think it'll be a great move for her, but that meant that there is an opening for a lead. And when I found out about that, I told my boss immediately, I'm going to apply for the position. I want the position. And he replied back to me. He thought that I would be an excellent candidate, a very strong candidate, but he couldn't just say, yeah, you're it. He's got to go through the process. He's got to make the job available to other employees of the company, make it available to the public, give everyone a fair chance to get through it. But in the end, turned out that there were 8 people that were applying for the position. He interviewed each and every one of us, and about 2 weeks ago, he told me he basically had decided that I was going to be the one. And I was told to keep it quiet, because they were still kind of working out the paperwork and stuff like that, and they hadn't decided what the compensation would be, which was going to be a big thing. That was the one thing that could scuttle the whole thing. If they decided they were only going to give me like $1 an hour or something like that, that's not worth the extra stress that I'd be going through to do it. It was going to have to be more money, and so I was going to hold off and wait and make my decision on this until I saw what the money was, because that's the one thing. Well, about a week ago, he began talking to me a little bit about what he was looking at giving me money. And apparently at that point, the company had decided what they wanted to give me, and the boss looked at that and said, no, that's not going to cut it. He said, we want more. The company agreed, and I found out about that about a week ago, and I've been sitting on that ever since. And yesterday he actually called me on the phone and says, we're still waiting on the written offer, but I'm going to make you a verbal offer right now. Here's what we're going to give you, and let me know what you think. And I said, I'll take it. You give me that amount of money, I'll take it. Well, today I went into work and the written offer was there, and obviously, needless to say, this is something I've wanted to do for a while. I'm going to be a lead now. What that means is I'm going to have a lot more responsibility. Basically, as I said, there are 8 manufacturing lines. I'm going to be in charge of 4 of them. And so, it's going to be my job to make sure that if there's problems with the lines, that the problems are fixed in a timely manner, and to deal with line turns and to help the other lead on her line turns if needed, and just kind of take a more active role in making sure that things that need to be done get done when they need to be done, and that everything goes as efficiently as possible. And like I said, this is a good move for me. It's a move into management. It came with a significant bump in salary, which I'm very, very happy with, but it's also going to be more responsibility. And I've kind of hinted about this in the past couple of weeks, both on the live stream and in previous videos when I've talked about this, and pointed out that this may require that I miss a vlog every once in a while. So that's the downside on this. It's going to be more hours, it's going to be more responsibility, and something may end up having to give. At this point, I don't see that happening immediately, but just be aware that could happen. But like I said, this is a good move for me. I'm very happy with this. I'm very excited, and we're going to see what happens next. So anyway, I wanted to tell you all that. I want to share that all with you because you're like family, and I want you all to know what's going on in my life. But other than that, I think that's all that I have for today. So thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.